Hello, I'm Terry Carter, and I'm recording this for HIUS 530, America's Christian Heritage, and this is a discussion board for fundamentalism versus modernism, or modernism versus fundamentalism. As I was doing research for this, I noticed two things. First, that Henry Fosdick publicly exposed the controversy between the fundamentalists and the modernists. His work, Shall the Fundamentalists Win?, published with the help of Nelson Rockefeller, created an open confrontation with his brothers and sisters in Christ. The second thing that struck me was the media coverage. Taking the lead from Fosdick, the media was happy to present the fundamentalists in the worst light possible. Churches that conducted heresy trials or threatened congregational splits were covered in national papers in ways and at levels of exposure that they would never have received at any other time. Much of it was very critical and mocking. However, there was a notable and unexpected exception. Several years ago, a local talk radio host named Tony McCreaney introduced me to the writings of H.L. Mencken. He was a writer and a journalist. You will not likely find his name in any book on theology because he was an atheist, or at least a stern agnostic. He had an acid wit and was skeptical of everything. Some of his views on Christianity were harsh. Note his relationship and criticisms of the Methodist Church. He had equally caustic comments to make about democracy and people holding public office. He mocked religious people while he was covering the Scopes trial for the Baltimore Sun, and was particularly disdainful of William Jennings Bryan. He may have been the originator of the term monkey trial. John Gresham Machen was a part of the controversy. He was a brilliant fundamentalist theologian, a professor at Princeton. Once Princeton began to move away from orthodoxy, Machen felt he had to leave, and he founded Westminster Seminary. He died at the age of 55, very young, in 1937. He died in North Dakota, but his body was returned to Baltimore for burial. And H.L. Mencken, fellow Baltimorean and Mensch, wrote an obituary for him. Now, you would expect, given Mencken's views, that he would be extremely critical and mocking of Dr. Machen, but he wasn't. He was very respectful, and he gives us a report of the controversy from the outside, from the view of a thoughtful skeptic. Mencken does make clear his views on religious beliefs. The doctrine that he, Machen, preached seemed to me, and still seems to me, to be excessively dubious. And he admits he never actually met Machen, but describes him as a man of great learning, and what is more, of sharp intelligence, who he, Mencken, could at least admire, and did greatly admire, his remarkable clarity and cogency as an apologist, allowing him his primary assumptions. In a comparison to William Jennings Bryan, he said Dr. Machen himself was to Bryan as Matterhorn is to a wart. He noted an area of common ground between himself and Dr. Machen. They both opposed prohibition. Mencken called prohibition an imbecility that fell upon the country, and Machen's objections to it were, he not only proved that there was nothing in the teachings of Jesus to support so monstrous a folly, he proved abundantly that the known teachings of Jesus were unalterably against it, and having set forth that proof, he refused, as a convinced and honest Christian, to have anything to do with the dry jihad. While Mencken did not have any religious convictions of his own, he understood and respected the power of conviction in others. Thus he, Dr. Machen, fell out with the reformers who have been trying in late years to convert the Presbyterian Church into a kind of literary and social club. What caused him to quit the Princeton Theological Seminary and found a seminary of his own was his complete inability as a theologian to square the disingenuous evasions of modernism with the fundamentals of Christian doctrine. Mencken came at the modernist fundamentalist controversy with clarity and wit. He, a non-Christian, easily grasped what was at the heart of the matter. It is my belief, as a friendly neutral in all such high and ghostly matters, that the body of doctrine known as modernism is completely incompatible, not only with anything rationally describable as Christianity, but also with anything deserving to pass as religion in general. Of the modernists themselves, he said, they may be good people, and they may even be contented and happy, but they are no more religious than Dr. Einstein. Finally, recognizing that religion did have a role to play in society, Mencken wrote, "Religion, if it is to retain any genuine significance, can never be reduced to a series of sweet attitudes, possible to anyone not actually in jail on felony." Simple, easy to remember, solid theology from H.L. Mencken. Thank you.